Building, you can't get it's either freezing or it's hot. AC's been on and off.
Monday was.
I'm telling you now, I got like a sweater and a fan in my office. It's true.
How does that relate to the roster? Do you feel like you know what you got going heading into week one? I don't know.
So yeah. Are you saying like? Yeah, I think so. I mean, you know. I mean, we've been doing this all the time. I mean, doing it all through the process of, you know, camp and everything about, you know, trying to see who the best 53 are. And not that we've stopped ourselves, because we haven't, you know, by looking to see if we can get better, which, you know, we're always going to do. And you see that, especially now, you know, people adding people to the roster and deleting people. So I think it's important. I think our guys understand that, you know, if you're not in a role where, you know, you're going to dress, you know, then your role is, especially, you know, if you're running cards or things of that nature, you know, you're going to be evaluated on that. And, you know, you have to be ready to come up if we have injury. You know, I've always believed in that. You have players here in the building, if they're good enough to come up, you know, you need to bring them up and play. And, you know, I think, you know, I said this to the team, and I guess it was before the last preseason game, and I talked a little bit about the year before, and I was saying about, you know, the guys that were in camp with us the year before, you know, the guys that ran the scout teams, you know, they're just as much part of whatever success we have as a team, even though they may not be here. And I really feel that way. I think, you know, the people that get overlooked are the guys that, you know, you wound up releasing during camp, and, you know, the guys that play the scout team that never get picked up. Because, you know, to me, one of the most important things, obviously, I think everyone can see what you have to do with your starters or the people that are playing and how they have to study and how they have to prepare. But the best way is when those guys can give a good look, you know, a good look to what, you know, they're going to see. And this way on Sunday, it's something, you know, not completely different.
Do you know when the Safarian Jenkins injury occurred?
Well, he's had like I would call it a nagging thing going on, and he's been practicing. And then, you know, the other day, you know, I just think he wound up going for a ball and just wound up falling down, and, you know, just kind of sore, you know. So we're just going to be smart about it.
Is there concern that he won't be available Sunday?
I mean, I feel like he'll play, you know, but, you know, you never know. I mean, that's me saying it, not, you know, him or the doctors.
Keeping 3 tight ends, is there a thought to bring up a 4th tight end if he's limited at all?
I don't know if we're at that point, you know what I'm saying, yet in our process. I mean, he's a guy that's, you know, been around, knows his body, so it's different. If it was a younger guy, I think that'd be more of a concern.
What does Evan Ingram do well?
Probably what doesn't he do well will be a whole lot easier, you know, to answer. But, you know, he's an all-around guy. He's a matchup problem, matchup nightmare. You know, he has it's like a big body, but he can run all the routes as a receiver and do all those things and get open. And, you know, the combinations of all their skilled players, whether it's, you know, Shepard or, you know, Odell Beckham or, you know, the running backs, you know, they have a lot of weapons it's going to be a great challenge, you know, for our guys. I think that, you know, you got to, you know, 11 guys are going to have to do their job and do it well. You know, Eli's a guy that, you know, he'll find the guys that are open. You know, you're not going to really give him a lot that he hasn't seen before. And it's going to be a combination of everyone really playing well, you know. I don't think it's any different. And if there's a hole or there's a breakdown, I think the one difference is, hey, you know, these skilled players could hurt you, you know, and turn those into touchdowns, and the quarterback can go ahead and find it.
How much of a luxury is it in a game like this where, you know, everyone just says, oh, it's Jalen versus OBJ, but on the other side is AJ Boye. Not a lot of teams have that kind of, you know, player on both sides.
Yeah, I mean, no one's really asked me about, you know, any of that other stuff because, and probably because they know I'm going to tell you it's 11 guys, you know, that have to do it. I mean, you know, there's 11 of those battles going on every single play, you know, and you have to try to win it. I think that, you know, sometimes it's like, again, you know, some guys get a little bit more publicity. It depends on, you know, what's being written or what people are writing about. and some guys don't. I think, AJ is a very, very good football player, obviously. I mean, he's gone to the Pro Bowl, and you got the guys that have done that, and he's worked hard this offseason and has improved his game. So, we're excited about that. But there's a lot of other untold stories, and you guys know that have been here before, guys that kind of get overlooked a little bit that aren't really out there in space sometimes. Maybe you get pushed in a pocket and the quarterback moves to the right a little bit and changes the trajectory of the throw, and it's an interception. All of a sudden, oh, what a great play on the interception, but no one talks about how we move the quarterback off the spot. And I think it's the same thing offensively. Anytime running backs, have a great game rushing the football, a lot of people say, whoa, what a great job by the offensive line. Well, no one talks about the tight end. No one talks about the receivers down the field, because usually to break big runs, the receivers are the ones that are really, getting after the blocking assignments.
You've seen Nate Solder several times in recent. What does the addition of him do for their offensive line?
I think that whole left side, they have the rookie in there who, we watched a bunch of film on, and I've watched him. I think he's a heck of a player. The kid from UTEP who was well coached. Sean Kugler is an excellent football coach, especially an excellent line coach. So he's been trained properly. And, Soldier's big, tall, long, athletic in space. So, they've got a formidable, left side. And we know Pat's on the right, and they moved, the other kid from left to right. And he's a heck of an athlete playing out there. He's a big, Flowers, big kid out there. And, and Pat's a big, strong kid. So, for our guys, it's going to be a tough matchup for them. I think those guys are a pretty good unit and playing well, and it's one that they've upgraded, and they can run the football and they can throw it, so it's going to be a challenge.
Landon Collins has become a really good playmaker in that backfield. How aware does Blake need to be on every single play where he's at?
Well, you start looking. I think he's an outstanding player, and he's a safety, so. Depending on what their system is, those guys are like the generals sometimes on the back end. All the respect in the world. I mean, he could play the pass. He reads the quarterback well. He fills the alleys well. He does all those things well. And they got, another good safety next to him, but they got two good corners, and Janoris Jenkins and Eli Apple. I mean, those guys, they've played a lot of football, and they've caused a lot of fits for players. So, it's like I say again, it's opening day, and everyone's going to be geared up, and you got to go out there and you got to, play well.
Last year, a lot of people felt the offensive line was the unit that looked shakiest going into the season, and then it turns out that they had a pretty good year. What is your feeling about the offensive line at this stage, knowing the limited number of reps those five guys had together in the preseason?
I think I kind of think everything's kind of shaky until we get until we start playing. And then watching them play together, I think that the way I look at it is we do our best to go out there and put those guys together. And basically, a lot of those guys, it's been based on availability, with a couple injuries and, mixed matching. But we've had a lot of practice time together. And now it's just a matter of when we go out there, how do we perform, really? And that's the thing I think that's hard to answer now. You can look great during the preseason and go out there and all of a sudden not perform well, and really what does it matter in the past? You can have a poor preseason and go out there and do that. So our focus is really just on a daily basis of, hey, listen, Monday we went out there, we had a good practice. Wednesday now we're focusing, hey, listen, we need good practices or great practices building up, because it's like the other day, and Gene, you asked a question, you asked what do you need to see out of Blake? You asked me that, and we were talking about the turnovers and touchdowns. And then, I kind of thought about that, when I went back in, because I don't spend a lot of time thinking about how to answer questions. I just tell you guys the truth, and to move on, But that one I started thinking about, I'm thinking, for all of our players, when someone asks me, hey, what are you looking for this player? What are you looking for this player? We're looking for that player to play well enough for us to win games, to win football games, really, at the end of the day. And, it just kind of caught me a little bit, and that's what I believe in. And we're doing everything we possibly can, to win. I think even from a team standpoint, they've made some moves. They brought in the kid from New Orleans who's a heck of a teams player and a linebacker, and they got some players down there that can play returners. So we're going to be challenged on that end, and you really. You like to feel comfortable, but, obviously you guys know it's an uncomfortable feeling. You don't have a lot of film. You don't have a lot of things to study. You don't have, a good feel. You haven't been out there, and this is where it counts. This is where you have to go out there and perform.
Tom? Concerns about Linder. He's back on the injury report.
Who's that?
Linder.
Brandon Linder.
Oh,
No. Tom Coughlin's returning to
We
New
have to
York.
do that because, he's going to take, we'll just watch him.
TC returns. Do you say anything to him this week? Do you joke? Can you joke about it? Can you mention it? Does he mention
First
it?
of all, do you joke? There's no joking with Coach. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he's all bit. He's all no. That would not be a smart move by me or anyone else. Would you needle your boss?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I would, but I get away with some things.
You do get away with it?
Yeah.
I'm going to make sure he knows. Make sure they prints the transcript and send that. No, Coach, we're very focused, and we're focused on our team, and we're focused on what we're about. And I've always said this, even for me, when I've gone back to London and have played there, or I've gone to Buffalo or the Jets or back to New Orleans or back to, all these places that you do have a connection to. I think on the outside it's more of a big thing than it really is on the inside. I think, one of the things I learned long ago about this profession, a gentleman who I have the utmost respect for is really a mentor to me in the game of football, was a guy named Jimmy Ray, who coached for me at the Jets. And Jimmy would always tell me, my first year in the league, I was kind of just working. He said, you're not going to make it. You've got to get into a routine. You got to get into a schedule. You got to keep it the same way. It's the only way you're going to last through, these seasons, because it takes a toll on you. So I think what happens is when you come down to, preparing, you're just in that preparation mode and you're in that routine and you're going, knowing that if you start thinking about things outside it, I think it's going to be tough because you're going to hit these little waves of up and down, and you want to be sharp as you possibly can be, with the lack of, for all of us as coaches, lack of sleep or time or anxiety or, all that stuff that's going on. What worry is to begin with.
All right, we'll finish with Hazel.
How has Lorente McCray developed as a player in the 2 years he's been here?
I mean, he's done a good job. I mean, at first, we're just thinking like, okay, hey, let's pick this player up. Let's acquire him. He's played teams. Let's see if he's good enough to play. I mean, really, honestly, when we took him. And all of a sudden, he played extremely well, made a lot of tackles. He had a good leadership role, and then all of a sudden, I think he's picked it up and he's shown us that he can go in there. And he's always believed that he can go in there and play defensively. So I think that he's done a nice job of, becoming a very good all-around football player for us. And obviously, he's become a leader for our special teams with them voting him captain. So, I'm excited for him because he does put in a lot of work in both. And it's hard because, he's a player by example, because sometimes the younger players, they just want to concentrate on whatever phase they're in. I'm a special teams player. I'm not worried about linebacker. Or I'm a linebacker. I'm not worried about special teams. And I think Lorente, I've always appreciated that's been able to really put the time in both. And leadership's, important in that locker room, how they feel. I mean, for us, we had Puzz in there for a long period of time, who's done a great job. And, hey, they voted for Telvin Smith, and I think he's obviously stepped up his role. And Calais is there, but I think we have a couple other guys, too, that have done a nice job there. So, leadership is, for the team standpoint, I'm happy where Lorente is. All right. Appreciate it. Yep.